You first encountered vitamins during your childhood. Your parents probably told you to eat greens because they contain vitamins, and then you would get curious and you'd ask why vitamins are important, and they would tell you that they make you stronger. Now, because of the ignorance of the general population, no further emphasis is put on vitamins, so most children grow up and neglect vitamins, as most of you do. Or, I mean, some of you health conscious people out there, of course, don't neglect vitamins, but some of you in the audience do. So I'm here to tell you more about vitamins, the ones that exist, what they do, which forms you want, and I would have wanted to make one video all about nutrients, but the video would simply be too long. So we're gonna cover the fat-soluble vitamins, of course the water-soluble vitamins, and before we get into all that, I'd just like to say that the fat-soluble vitamins are best digested when eaten with fat. That's why they're kind of fat-soluble. We could do a video about digestion where I explain that process or why they're better absorbed with fat, but oh well, that's for another video, of course. So let's start with the first vitamin, vitamin A, retinol, as it's called. Now, the most important thing here is to recognize that carrots and sweet potatoes don't contain any retinol or vitamin A. No food in the plant kingdom contains vitamin A. The plant kingdom, or carrots or sweet potatoes, contain beta carotene, which may or may not be converted to retinol depending on your genes. Now, I would say that a large portion of the population can't convert beta carotene into retinol. I'm one of those people. So, for many people, this is one of the biggest reasons why most people can't become vegans or suffer on the vegan diet, because vitamin A is naturally one of the more important vitamins when compared to the others. For example, the B vitamins. What vitamin A does? Let's get into that. It's required for the proper function of the retina. It's required for gene transcription. It's required for red blood cell production, skin cell regeneration, and it regulates gut immune responses, and it heals and prevents leaky gut. So the reason why vitamin A is so important when it comes to, or so effective when it comes to healing skin disease, isn't just because the actual work it puts into fixing your organ that is the skin, but it also does a lot of work on your digestive system, and it reduces inflammation greatly over there. So that's retinol. Now vitamin D, cholecalciferol. I would advise you to watch the video I made called The Sun, where I go in depth on that vitamin. But we're gonna mention some other things over here, of course. It's the most important vitamin. I mean, when you look at the functions, it probably influences almost all functions or systems in your body. And I mean, if you're deficient, you're heading toward a slow death. That's how serious a deficiency or vitamin D deficiency actually is. And I mean, throw away sunscreen. If you're not convinced, then you should, watch the sun video. Vitamin E, tocopherol. Now, tocopherol or vitamin E isn't just a single molecule. It is 8 different fat-soluble compounds. Hence why it can only be acquired through food. So, what does this mean? Supplements cannot... Well, when you buy a supplement, a vitamin E supplement, or you buy a cosmetic product with vitamin E, what you're actually getting is a product where they've put a molecule similar to vitamin E, but it's not actually vitamin E. So, anywhere, or in any store, in any supplement, any cosmetic product where it says vitamin E, it's not actually vitamin E because it's too complex to produce in a laboratory, where you know the sales are giving you a net profit. Because I mean, if you only produce one molecule, the production will cost less than if you're producing 8 different molecules or chemicals. And what does vitamin E do then? It can only be acquired through food, as I said. it's too complex to produce as a supplement. It affects gene expression and it regulates enzymes. It protects cells by donating a hydrogen atom to free radicals. Some free radicals need a hydrogen atom. Vitamin E takes care of that. And it also recycles itself through vitamin C. So when vitamin E has been used up, vitamin C acts as an oxidizing agent, and it gives electrons to vitamin E so that it recycles itself and does the same job again. Now, vitamin K2, or menaquinone 4. Now, let's just say vitamin K to start, because I mean this might be the most difficult vitamin to understand in terms of what you actually need to eat or avoid, and so on and so on. So there's vitamin K1 and there's vitamin K2. Vitamin K1 is converted into K2, but it shouldn't be converted by us. It should be converted by animals, and then we should eat the animals to get K2. Our conversion is done in the large intestine by our small large intestinal bacteria. This conversion is very bad, and because of that, you basically, if you're a vegan, can't get vitamin K2. You might have heard that you could get MK7. There are different forms of vitamin K2. There's primarily MK7 and MK4. You can get MK7 through eating fermented soybeans, or natto, as they call it in Japan, if I'm correct. But problem there is that when you look at the science, MK4 is much more effective than MK7, and the reason you could say this is because MK4 is the form of K2 that is found in breast milk, and I mean Mother Nature clearly prefers MK4 over MK7 just because of that fact. Now, the thing with K2, it mobilizes calcium. So if you have calcium deposits in your joints or your brain, it removes them. It mobilizes minerals and takes them out, and it leads them where they need to go. And as far as bone strength, or skeletal system strength, or whatever you want to say, I can personally tell you that calcium doesn't do anything in this regard. K2 does everything in this regard. I've cycled K2 through supplements, and I don't do that anymore. And I've eaten large amounts of it through, well, natural foods, whole foods. And I can tell you that any joint pain or stress I used to get by doing strength training has completely gone out of the window. I can do all the strength training I want without getting a single, well, problem in my tendons or my joints or in my bones. I can punch walls really hard without anything breaking in my knuckles at all. So if you're an athlete and the skeletal system, or your skeletal system, is stressed, then you need to emphasize K2. Now, because of how little you know about K2, I'm gonna tell you some sources of K2. So you want fermented animal foods, and the easiest way to get it is through raw cheese. Buy some raw Swiss cheese and eat it, and you'll be getting K2. Or you could supplement. And make sure the supplement is of high quality, because if it isn't, then you're gonna poison yourself. Vitamin C, ascorbate or ascorbic acid. The thing here is, don't supplement it, eat it through whole foods, because it's literally the easiest vitamin to get, and of course humans evolved eating whole foods, not supplements, so you're adapted to eat things that come from nature, so do that, please. It's needed for collagen synthesis. It neutralizes oxygen and nitrogen-based radicals. It contributes to many enzymatic reactions, so it's needed to produce cholesterol and norepinephrine. It's extremely important for brain health, too many functions to list, as with D3. It supports many immune system mechanisms, which you already know, and too many functions to list. The video would become too long if we listed all of them. Now let's get into the B vitamins. From C and onward, or vitamin C and onward, we're covering the water-soluble vitamins. So remember, the fat-soluble vitamins are A, D, E, and K. So B1, Thiamine. It's needed to metabolize carbohydrates and it's involved in RNA and DNA production. B2, riboflavin. At least I think it's pronounced riboflavin. It's needed for mitochondrial function, so using energy producing ATP. B3, niacin. It plays a major role in NAD and NADP, coenzymes that are important for energy metabolism. Again, you're seeing a pattern here, aren't you? And it helps create and repair DNA. And NAD and NADP, the better your production of those two molecules is, the more energy you're gonna have. B5, pantothenic acid. Now, the only function I found for pantothenic acid is it's a precursor to coenzyme A. And coenzyme A does two things. It transports fatty acids from the cytoplasm to the mitochondria. So if you're a more fat-burning person, if your metabolism is geared toward burning fat, I think your pantothenic acid demands will be higher. And it's necessary for a functioning citric acid cycle, and the citric acid cycle is needed to produce ATP, so, well, get your pantothenic acid in. B6. Now, B6 is very interesting. There's three forms of it. Pyridoxal, pyridoxamine, and pyridoxine. Now, pyridoxine is much, much less effective than pyridoxal and pyridoxamine. You want pyridoxal and pyridoxamine. Pyridoxal and pyridoxamine are only found in animal foods. So, yet another reason to not be vegan. Pyridoxine is only found in plant foods, as far as I know. It's involved in many aspects of macronutrient metabolism. It's required for the synthesis of hemoglobin, and it cannot really, as I said, be obtained by vegans. Just to reiterate. Now, B7, biotin. Involved in many cycles relating to energy metabolism. Again, you're probably seeing a pattern here. It's required for myelin sheath formation, and myelin is the fatty substance covering your nerves. And it's needed for white blood cell production or development. B9, folate. The most important thing here is to recognize that I'm saying folate and not folic acid. Folate is found in whole foods, I would say primarily liver, and folic acid is synthetic, and it makes your folate receptors more insensitive, so your folate absorption becomes worse, and the conversion rate is pretty bad, so you have to convert it through many steps. So don't take folic acid supplements, eat folate through whole foods. Especially if you're pregnant. Good God, you need folate if you're pregnant. Let's see here. Again, needed for RNA and DNA synthesis. It's extremely important for methylation, which we'll get into. And it behaves similarly to vitamin C and E when it comes to free radical scavenging. Now, B12, methylcobalamin, not cyanocobalamin. There's a difference there. Methylcobalamin is the form found in whole foods. Cyanocobalamin is mostly found in supplements, hence why it is very important that you get all your vitamins through whole foods, not supplements. Now, B12 is extremely important because of methylation, and methylation is kind of, well, it's an on and off switch when it comes to gene expression. And I know that might sound complicated, and that's why I advise you to read the article I will link down below about methylation, and I'll also link a video about the effects of not being able to when the system that methylizes is very bad, what happens if that is the case. That's a very eye-opening video. And this is one of the most underlooked biological systems in humans today. Thankfully, it's the information is getting out there. I'll be sure to make a video about methylation because it's very important. Now, it's the most complex vitamin chemically. The thumbnail had B12 on there. If you look at the other B vitamins, they're much more simple. Now, other functions include myelin synthesis, again, the fatty substance covering your nerves, very important for brain function. Energy metabolism, of course. That's it for B12. Choline. Now, it's considered to be one of the B vitamins, but not really, so that's why, well, the scientific world calls it choline. It's water soluble. Choline is needed to form choline phospholipids, which line the cell membrane along with cholesterol, so it's needed to produce healthy cells and functioning cells. It's also important for methylation. B12, folate, and choline are the trifecta of methylation, so be sure to get those three, they're very important. And choline is needed to synthesize, as you may tell, acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter that is essential for brain function and muscle function. Now, people with choline slash B vitamin deficiencies literally become fatigued, depressed, and dumb, and that's why you should eat liver, because liver contains choline and all the B vitamins and folate and B12. It contains everything you need for methylation and proper B12 or B vitamin intake. Now, a key point here is that, as you may tell, the B vitamins are required for energy metabolism and also for DNA production and repair. Now, the thing is, the more carbs slash calories you eat, the more you deplete your B vitamins, and the less you get the regenerative effects of what they do. So that might be a reason to why fasting and caloric restriction increases lifespan. So that's a thing to look into. And when it comes to brain health, I mean, your brain uses a lot of energy, so if you're B vitamin deficient, your brain isn't going to function. So if you get frequent headaches or you have brain fog, look into increasing your B vitamin intake. And one last thing, when it comes to vitamin C, the more carbohydrates you eat, the less vitamin C you need, because they kind of fight over absorption because of their structure is similar, so your body doesn't really recognize which one is which. I think it's absorption. It could be some other mechanism that dictates why you need less vitamin C, but I'm pretty sure it's absorption. Oh well, I think that's it. Over and out for now.